Going to head back to the U.S. Capitol, where West Virginia tonight. Reporter Adrienne Robbins sat down for a one-on-one interview with Senator Joe Manchin.
Senator, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're a very busy man here.
That's my job.
I'd like to start out by talking about what do you think is the biggest issue West Virginia is facing right now?
Well, we have more than one, but if you're picking the biggest issue we have is getting a workforce that can compete in the 21st century workability and opportunities. Providing people with the skill sets they need to get the jobs to bring the businesses, to grow businesses. That's been the biggest challenge we have. Now you can blame that on many, many things. Whether you want to blame it on education attainment or things that we're not doing right and could do better. Our college and community technical schools, I know they've been trying to look at that differently, but connecting the dots is the hardest thing that we have.
You touch on a couple of things there, education and also jobs. A big thing that a lot of people believe needs to come to West Virginia to have those two things get better is broadband.
It's going to be hard to develop. We're going to have pockets of West Virginia unless we can connect them. The best way that I describe when I go and speak before committees, if you lived in rural America or rural West Virginia in the 1930s, you probably didn't have electricity. If you were waiting for the utility companies to bring you up a mile up the road and only 4 families, you weren't going to get electric line. Not until FDR put rural electrification and said it was a necessity, it's a basic necessity of life, that everyone should have access to electricity. Today, almost 100 years later, it's still the necessity in broadband and internet connectivity.
You just wrote an opinion piece for the Washington Post about climate change, and you did so with a Republican senator. Talk about how you two came together in a bipartisan way to write this piece.
That's my friend Lisa Murkowski. First of all, you have to have relationships. Lisa and I have been friends for a long time. Her husband Vern and my wife Gail were all friends. We have dinner together. So we built that relationship, and we trust each other. We're not out trying to say, I got you and I did something because she's a Republican or she does something because I'm a Democrat. We do something because we think it'll help our country, and it'll help Alaska, and it'll help West Virginia. And if two of us coming from two heavily energized states, basically producing a lot of energy for this country, is not willing to stand up and say, listen, climate change is real, because in the last 100 years, the humans have had the greatest impact ever in the cycles of climate change. We need to do something. But basically, you just don't stick your head in the sand and say, get rid of everything, that's how we'll fix it. No, it's a global. It's not American climate, it's not North American climate.
So you're very busy up here in Washington, but were you paying attention at all to the legislative session happening in West Virginia? And what are your thoughts on everything that happened, but in particular the education reform?
You don't come to a session and drop a major policy of changing the education system without input, knowing this is what needs to be done, what flexibility needs to be done. Maybe what would help in southern West Virginia is different than what's helping in north central West Virginia. But unless you go around, and that's what the interim meetings were for. We have a 60-day session, and you have monthly interims. That was the whole purpose of gathering this information. So I think they put basically the cart well ahead of the horse, and maybe the horse can catch up, I hope.
Well, Senator, thank you so much for your time. I came all the way to Washington, D.C. You know I have to ask you, is a run for governor in your future?
I haven't made any decisions on any of that. And what I've said is I've got a job right now, and my ranking position is something I can really help the state. But I'm very much concerned about my state. I love my state more than anything. I worked hard 24/7. When I was governor, I didn't want to go to bed at night. I couldn't wait to get up in the morning, because I knew I could always help somebody. And that's the attitude you have to have. So the only thing I've said is the state needs a full-time governor and not a surrogate.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Reporting on Capitol Hill, I'm Adrienne Robbins.